Do you ever want to make a dessert, but you don't want to be left with an entire cake that you have to eat all week, or a huge pie or anything like that? You just want a small batch dessert to satisfy a sweet craving at that moment, and that's it. Be done with it. Maybe have a little left over for the next day, but not have to make a whole big dessert. Well, this is a small batch apple pie purse recipe that's made in a muffin pan, that is super easy, delicious, and it only makes 6. So let's get started. And this recipe is also not super sweet at all. And I'm using 2 Honeycrisp apples, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar, and 6 empanada wrappers. You can get these at the freezer section at your local grocery store. And I'm going to season this with some pumpkin pie spice and some vanilla. And that's it. Simple ingredients. You can do some egg wash over the top. And these are 5-inch puff pastry baking empanada wrappers, so you don't have to fry them. And you need your 6 muffin pan. The empanada wrappers, just open the package, take out the amount you need, and just put them on the counter. They'll be defrosted in like 30 minutes. So the reason I came up with this dessert is because I have been not keeping any sweets in the house. Usually, my husband has like cookies and donuts and all these sweet things in the house. But we've been not having anything in the house because if it's not in the house, then you don't eat it, right? So if you want something sweet, then you're going to have to make it. And if you're going to have a dessert, then it's better to have something that you've made yourself as opposed to like prepackaged, ultra processed, super high sugar foods like cookies and cakes and donuts that you pick up at the grocery store. It's better to have something homemade because you know what's going in it. You can control the amount of sugar in it, and you can make a small batch to satisfy your sweet craving at that moment without having a huge package of ultra processed, food in the house. Okay, so I have a saucepan here. I put 2 tablespoons of water in the pan because you need something to help soften the apples a little bit. And you're going to put your tablespoon of brown sugar in the water, let that melt and get warmed up. And while your water is warming up with the sugar, you want to cut your apple into a small dice. Think of like McDonald's apple pies, a small dice like that. You're going to make a nice small diced apple pie filling to fill your empanadas with. So while you chopped up your apples, your water got nice and warm, the sugar melted. Now you're going to put all your apples in the pan. I have the flame at a medium. So if your burner goes from 1 to 10, it's a 6. And I'm just going to cover this and I'm going to let this start to come to a simmer to soften the apples a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to get some cornstarch and about 2 tablespoons of water. And I'm going to put some cornstarch in the water to make a slurry. And it has to be cold water. If not, it'll clump up on you. Because this is going to help the filling get super nice and thick at the end. So just mix it, set it aside, and you'll have it ready for later. Okay, so back to the apples. This started to simmer. So I am going to add my pumpkin pie spice. You can do apple pie spice. You could do cinnamon and nutmeg and all those spices. But I have pumpkin pie spice. I love pumpkin pie spice. So I did 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, and I'm just doing a splash of vanilla, maybe like a teaspoon. So now just give everything a stir, and then you're going to cover it back up, and you're going to put the burner on a 4, like a medium low, and you're just going to let it cook for a while. It's probably going to be about 10-15 minutes. Let it simmer, let the apples get soft, and then check on it in a bit. And while the apples cook, you can get the muffin pan and the empanada wrappers ready. You want to spray or spritz or coat with olive oil or butter, whatever you use in your baking. I am using a spritz of olive oil, and my silicone brush is busy in the egg wash over there. So I am just going to use my hands to grease the muffin pan circles. Then you're going to take your defrosted 5-inch empanada wrappers, and you're going to put them inside each muffin cavity. And you're going to have a little bit of an overhang, and that's what you want because you're going to use that overhang later after you fill the apple pie filling, and you're going to close them up and make like little apple purses. But I'll show you. Be careful when you're putting this in the muffin pan. You don't want to press it down so hard where you make a hole in the empanada wrapper because you don't want the apple pie filling leaking out. Okay, so let's check on our apples. They are coming along. They're simmering. It smells so good. My daughter just yelled from the other room. It smells like Christmas in here. Now just get a fork and poke one of the apples because you want them to be soft but slightly firm. You don't want them to turn to mush.
Oh, so good.
And these apples are perfect. So now I'm going to take my cornstarch slurry. I'm going to pour that in, give it a mix, and we're done. And that cornstarch slurry is going to make this thick instantly. It's going to turn that bubbling, sugary, cinnamon, pumpkin spice water at the bottom into like a thick, rich, gooey apple pie filling. You see that? Let me zoom in and show you. This got thick instantly. It's perfect. So that's it. This is done. Turn it off and you're ready to go fill your empanada wrappers. Now you're going to take your apple pie filling and you're going to start filling in your empanada wrappers. And 2 large apples is exactly what you need to fill 6 large muffin pockets. So just spread this out evenly. You're going to press it down a little bit, but just be gentle that you're not going to poke a hole in the empanada wrappers, and you're good to go. Once you have everything filled up, then you just want to take the dough that's overhanging on like the edges and just start bringing it in. And eventually you're going to bring it in enough where you're going to pinch it closed and make what I call like a little apple pie purse. And this dough is super forgiving. It's very pliable. So just little by little, start bringing it in. And the heat from the apple pie filling is softening up the dough even more. And just work it little by little until eventually you have them pinched closed into like little coin purses. Or you know what? They even look like, they look like dumplings, like steamed buns or dumplings also. So you can call them apple pie buns or apple pie dumplings. Then you're going to brush the tops with some egg wash so they get nice and golden brown in the oven. And that's it. This is what they're going to look like before you bake them. These are ready to go in the oven. And you want your oven to be at 375. Look at this. Look how pretty these look, just like this. They almost look like little onions or something. So cute. Anyway, pop these in the oven at 375 for 20 to 25 minutes until they're golden brown. See you in a bit. Okay, these just came out of the oven. They're piping hot. I have my little rubber spatula and I'm pulling out the little apple pie purses, the little apple pie pouches. And do you see on the edges how there's a dark line on some of them? Some of the apple pie filling leaked and it turned into like a caramelized, yummy, chewy layer of sugar on the outside. That is quite all right because it tastes delicious. When that happens, it's like a happy little accident. But look at these. Look how cute these look. And inside is bubbling hot apple pie filling. Yum. Okay, now these are perfect for me just as is, but my husband has a major sweet tooth. So I am going to dust these with some powdered sugar just to make them a little sweeter for him. And what doesn't look better with a little bit of powdered sugar dusted over it. Okay, there we have it. Let's give it a taste test. That is good. It's perfectly flaky on the outside and you have the warm apple pie filling on the inside. Perfect little small batch dessert to make for after dinner. And if you have any left over, just put them in an airtight container. You don't have to refrigerate them. And the next day, they'll be soft. But if you want to crisp them up again, just put them in the toaster oven on bake 400 for about 10 minutes. And they'll get nice and crispy all over again. Thanks for watching. Bye.